Mr. Brok, you have just listened to the statement of Jean-Claude Juncker when he gave the State of the Union to the Parliament. What's your impression when it comes to the part of foreign politics? Were you surprised, positively surprised even?
I think it was a great speech he delivered. He told us all the challenges Europe faces, the serious challenge, perhaps one of the most difficult challenges since decades. Because of our foreign policy situation, if I see war in Ukraine in our neighborhood, and you see the situation in Northern Africa and the Middle East, and the result of that, refugees, hundreds of thousands going to Europe, millions going to Europe, and this I think is a very serious problem, which is not just solvable by doing quotas and registrations. It's looking to the roots of this, and that is mostly war and hunger, and here we have to do as Europeans more in our own interest.
Did he come up with, in your opinion, solutions?
Yeah, I think he will come up with a real framework. He explained that, and he will do it in normal legislation. And here I hope the European countries will allow to get a majority for that in the Council. European Parliament will deliver a majority in legislation. And we have also to find a way that we do more in such countries, to look for peaceful solutions, that we have with the Americans and Russians a way that we have more commitments by Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Iran to cooperate and do not follow up proxy wars, which are the reason for the situation in the Middle East.
When it comes to my country, Denmark, the present government is trying to push away every kind of refugee crossing the border. It's been said we have to strengthen the border controls within the Union to avoid that it's not only the Dublin Convention which is taken care of, but that the countries themselves shouldn't be filled up with refugees. What's your comment to a behavior like that?
I think solidarity is always a two-way street. And there is no European country which can run away from the problem. We solve it together or we lose together as Europeans. And for such refugees, borders do not make a difference in which way they are defined, as we see. They go over borders, Greece, Macedonia, Serbia, Hungary, despite these fences. So if it's Schengen agreement or not, they do not go with their passport to the border control. They find other ways to go to another country. Therefore, they destroy free movement within Europe, but not taking part in the responsibilities. Setting up quotas so that for everyone it's doable. And I think if Germany is overfloating, then Denmark will be the next country.
Juncker mentioned the amount of 1.8 billion euro which shall be put forward in order to solve some of the problems. Do you think that amount is enough?
I think that's from European money what can be done for the moment, but it has to be also new priorities in our national budgets. This is a challenge all of Europe faces. Here we have to give the proper answer in order to protect our people, but at the same time give the humanitarian law its right and fulfill the Geneva Convention.
But again, isn't this kind of different approaches to solving the problem, or not want to solve the problem, a challenge to the European idea as such?
Yes, it's a very difficult problem because solidarity is part of it, but at the same time to understand that common interest is to fulfill it, and that if everyone who has just not or believes it's better, not a problem in it, leaves it to the others, then it will not work. And therefore we have put things together in a common approach in order to solve it, and together it will be cheaper, it will be more, it will have more results, and we can fulfill our commitments, but at the same time protect our people.
Next one? Yeah. Mr. Brok, the situation at the borders of Europe and such, of the European Union, aren't they under threat by the migrants? Can anyone control who is getting in? Couldn't there be terrorists among the people? how to safeguard Europe?
I think first of all the terrorists can come anywhere in if they want to do so. Secondly, we have to really have at the borders already the registrations, for example in Greece or Italy, and this registration cannot done just by the Greek authorities or the Italian authorities. They have to send their national civil servants who know the job, national police people, in order to have a joint effort at their borders because of our common foreign borders, and that altogether, including fingerprints, gives us a possibility to check that and to find out who is a terrorist or not.
Is one of the solutions perhaps that you are not letting them enter the European Union before they have registered?
That is to try to do that, but it depends on the country where you can do that. You must have a relationship with a country which is cooperative. What are the Turks doing, which is the moment the biggest problem, more or less? Do they want to destabilize Europe and send it to us in their incredible election campaign? Or they're cooperating together that on that side we can do the registration. Our main problem is also Libya. There is no state with whom you can cooperate. So there is a lot of problems in different cases, but I think where it's possible to do so, there we should do it also across the sea to have these registration points. And secondly, we have to keep out all the people who have no right as asylum seekers or refugees. That is, for example, the people from the Western Balkans. Someone, Juncker, made it very clear, who is coming from a candidate countries cannot call for asylum. And here also we have to work clear and better and make a distinction by that already when they enter the European Union.
You mentioned Turkey, and that's a final question in this context. How do you foresee the development in Turkey when people are fighting each other at a moment where the Turks are bombing the PKK?
I think they use the ISIS as an excuse for fighting the Kurds and the internal problem. I think everything has part of the Turkish election campaign to get a majority for the presidential party to make it a real presidential system is close to a dictatorship. And I think this is incredibly irresponsible. That moment where thousands of people die, to make such a campaign in Kurdish regions, in Syria and Iraq, to part of the election campaign.